Hello, welcome. This is the third video, or at least my third try on this video because my mic stops working during the middle of it. So, this is the third module for Cyber Patriot. Send it as homework if you're watching this recently from the upload date. If not, then don't worry about it and just enjoy it. Objectives. Don't worry about it. Windows operating systems. Alright, so you're going to learn about history of it, control panel, local firewall, security policies, uses groups, permissions, rights, tools, and checklists. Don't worry. Alright, so what does this big picture mean? Really doesn't mean much. This is just a history of Microsoft Windows. They're trying to give you a little thing. All these over here, don't worry about on the top. 3.1 all the way. The latest they've given us, Cyber Patriot's given us, was 2000. It wasn't really that bad. XP they always give us. Vista sometimes. And these servers up here, they give us usually like maybe 1 or 2 at the most. Server 2003 is just XP. Server 2003 R2 revision 2 is also XP. Vista is 2008, and then 7 is 2008 revision 2. You don't have to memorize this at all. Just know that Server 2003 is XP because that's pretty much the only server usually they give us. All right, control panel. So control panel, where is system changes and configurations can be made. All right. This is the Windows XP control panel or Server 2003 control panels. So if you don't know how to get there, you go here, you go to control panel, and bam, right here. You can also, it might look like something like this or whatnot. Just do view by. I like to do categories. It's much easier for, at least for me, for categories. Instead of just throwing out all the things and you have to sort through like 50 of them. Usually easier. Alright, the Security Center. Windows Security Center can enhance your computer security. Alright, so you go to Control, click Start, Control, Panel, and then Security Center. So let's do that. Start, Control, Panel. Ooh, this is not XP, so you would go to System and Security. Alright, Windows 7 and also Vista. You have Firewall there, you have System, you have Windows Update. Power option, that's really only for laptops. Backup and store, always good time to back up. You don't need to upgrade, your Windows is fine if you are using Windows. And administrative tools. Alright, so in here it's showing, it says firewall is on. If you click that little tab right there, it'll go down and give you some more detail. Automatic updates usually should be on, so it'll automatically update. Updating is a really big thing in Cyber Patriot. Well, usually like when we first get a computer, after changing passwords and stuff, we always update. So that usually gets us a few points, especially service. Alright, sorry about that. I stepped away from the computer for a little moment. So anyways, like I was saying, update. So you always get us a point usually, unless it specifically says like not to update, or if you update, like be careful about this or that. But they might do that, but they haven't usually in the past. So usually it's always a good update, or a good choice to update. Virus protection, there's free ones, Malwarebytes, AVG free. Windows has their Microsoft has their antivirus thing. You cannot use paid software for Cyber Patriot. That's one of their rules, trying to make it all fair, so no team can buy their way. Everyone has to do free or anything, such stuff like that. So firewalls are designed to prevent unauthorized access. I'm pretty sure I did this thing on firewalls, but pretty much when things are trying to get in, you're getting information sent in to your computer. Your firewall is like the little thing between the internet, you over here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but the firewall there and the internet come here. So lots of stuff tries to go in your internet or to your computer from the internet. Your firewall sorts all that, and if you say like block a program from going out, so no programs can go out or no other stuff can go in. So it serves as a barrier between you and hackers can get around it fairly easy, but it's just for general stuff. General programs, general everyday use. Usually they're fairly good. So what you want to do is click Firewall. If it's off, definitely turn it on. And depending, you don't always want to do it. If you do, don't allow exceptions. Then sometimes it might mess up with a couple of programs that you haven't, say, you click the exceptions tab and then say like, hey, let this program, I know what this program is. I know what Malwarebytes is. It's a good program, so I trust it. So, let it do its thing without ever worrying about it. That's more or less what an exception is. So there it is right here. So it says exceptions, file printer sharing, remote desktop, remote assistance, and UPnP framework. Whew. Couldn't say that one. Don't really worry about the last one. Usually in Cyber Patriot, don't turn any sharing on unless it requires you to. Always turn off remote desktop, remote assistance. So don't ever turn that on. If it's on, turn it off, because you don't need it and you can't get help from the outside. That'd be cheating. So it serves you absolutely no purpose whatsoever. So the exceptions tab allows unsolicited requests to connect to program on your computer. Be more specific where the request is allowed. Select display a notification when Firewall blocks a program to be defeated. You don't always need that. I mean, normally that's good, but in Cyber Patriot, you should if you know what programs are on your computer, then you don't really need that. File printing allows you to share components, folders, and printers with other people. Like I said, remote assistance allows someone else from another computer to control your Windows computer to help you. Remote desktop, so like I can log in remote desktop from one computer to another, and then this allows plug and play devices connect to a network. So you usually don't want this on, because if someone has like an affected flash drive that they plug into your computer, it can go to all the other computers in your network. Usually not a good idea. Advanced tab, really don't need any of this, kind of. We never really did any of this. Secure logging, you can create a log of successful connections and unsuccessful connections. You really don't need that. You can if you want to, but usually that won't tell you anything that you don't already know. Network connections define firewall for individual hardware connections. So pretty much, if you're running off Ethernet, which is the hardwired, aka LAN, local area connection, then there we go, local area connection right there. Then it's just saying, hey, use my firewall settings for this type of internet connection here. And that's default settings, restores it. Not really anything here. Alright, automatic updates. Because updates should be tested before applying, always set to automatic. Woo, right here. You should automatically download them, but again, unless it says something about a certain program might not run with Windows updates or something of the sort, so usually it's always just a good idea to download and download, install updates. You probably have to do it a couple times, because some updates require other updates to be installed, so you usually have to do about 2 or 3 times. Usually there's about like 100 plus updates that need to be installed, so that's when we break for like lunch and pizza and stuff. Alright, administrative tools is where you define your policies. So click start, control panel, performance maintenance, admin tools. Pew pew pew. On Windows 7, you go to control panel, system security, admin tools, click on that. Then you have all your tools right here. I've gone over these before, or some of them before at least, and whatnot. Alright, local security policy. You can view and edit policy settings. So this one's a big one. Usually there's at least a few points in this, at least. Event viewer, you can record application securities and system events. Usually that might help you with like the very last point, but other than that, it's not 100% necessary. It can help you though, indeed. Sometimes if they purposely leave stuff on there for you, or if something's not, if like you need to know something about like a program not booting up or whatnot, then that's a good place to go. Services, list all the services on the computer here, so that will tell you more in depth than like going to uninstall programs. Low security policies enforce standards among the organization's strength of security policies as a whole. So pretty much you can change a lot of things, like password policy. This is usually always definitely a point. So you can find, like, you need at least 10 characters for a password. You need at least, uppercase, lowercase, whatnot, like a number count lockout policies. So after, like 20 tries or 5 tries or something of the wrong password, it'll lock you out for X amount of time. Audit policies. So you can pretty much track, let's see, monitoring the creation of modifications to objects gives away a tracking potential security problem. It provides evidence in the event of a breach. So pretty much it'll log whatever if someone changes anything. So define a strong password set to 5. Usually we do 8 or 10. That's always better. The minimum password age, or the maximum password age, is, so default is 42. Usually we do like 3. It goes by days, so that's 42 days. Usually we do 3, or even maybe 1 or 2, because we're never going to go back to that computer again after we finish the round, which is 6 to 8 hours. I forget which one it is. So after that, we never go back. Minimum password length set to at least 8. Usually, like we said, do 8 or whatnot. Password must meet complexity requirements. Enable. So, uppercase, lowercase, a number, and a special character. So usually we do uppercase, something, something, number, like, exclamation mark or something. Store passwords using reversible encryption for all users. Always leave this disabled. That means that if I get your hash, which is how a password is stored, if you set that to enable, then I can decrypt it and get your password. So that's not a good thing. Define the account lockout policies. So how long, how many tries, and should you reset account lockout after how many minutes. So like after 10 minutes it's reset back and you can try again. Audit policies. So audit account logon events, object access, audit process tracking, and audit management. Pretty much it'll just, if you change a setting or anything important whatsoever, more or less, it will log it, so you can always go back and be like, hey, John changed his security firewall thing, so or change a password or his user group or whatnot. So that just means that it'll log it. Usually that's sometimes a point. It'll say like successful logging of audits or whatnot. Down to direct service access. So if a service object, when it says object, object is not like not like a physical thing. It kind of means like program, or like something a little bit more than a file. It's kind of hard to explain, but it doesn't mean like a physical thing, if you thought that. Login events, so you can see who logged on. Privileged user, so like if someone uses their admin to install a program. Policy change, if you change policy. Or a system event, so if someone like shuts down or restarts the computer or something like that. You don't have to memorize these, you don't have to really worry about these, just know that it's good to have them on. Alright, security settings, success, failure, and no auditing. So this is what it will look like in Windows XP. We're like audit logon events. So whenever someone successfully logs onto the computer or tries to log on the computer but doesn't, like maybe they have no password or whatever, it'll audit that, aka log it for you. Audit privilege use. So right now that one's set for only when it doesn't work. So like if you don't have the right privileges and you try to do something, it'll log it. And no auditing means that it'll just totally ignore it. Alright, Windows XP grants everyone account the ability to access your computer over the network. Remove everyone access to your computer. Remove access to your computer by everyone's account. So pretty much by default it lets everyone access your computer, so that's not good. So you just have to go to control panel, performance and maintenance, admin tools, local security policies, and remove it. Remove everyone from sharing. It says in the security tree setting, click local policies, user agreements, and then double click the setting for count this computer over the network. If I'm going too fast, I'm sorry. There's a lot of pages. We're halfway done, and I'm pretty sure this video is already like 15 minutes in. So it's a lot, but it's all important. So if you want to go over it twice, go ahead. If you want to read it by yourself, definitely don't just watch this video and be like, alright, I know it. So event viewer, you could search it up if you're in XP or Vista, but if not, go to control panel, performance and maintenance, admin tools, event viewer. Usually all these important things are under admin tools, so once you get here, I would just say minimize the window, so you can just unminimize it. You can just pop it back up and click on which tool you need. Alright, these logs are based on policies you have created, so exactly like the editing. Not very important. I'm going to skip that. Event viewer, this is what it looks like. There's different ones. There's applications, security, and system. So you can read this right here. Pause it if you need to. Not really too important. Alright, services. Services are programs that run invisible in the background on a system. So you'll probably have at least 50 to 100 services running, but you don't see. It's like, whoa, why don't I see all these programs running? Because they're individual little things that support the actual programs. So they load and they run whether or not anyone logs into the system. To view all the services, go to, like I said, admin tools, services. Alright, this one is usually where there's things like telnet and other things that share that are remote desktop, remote assistant, that are bad that you want to turn off. If you turn off the wrong thing, you can totally mess up your computer and like disconnect yourself from the internet. Programs won't run properly, so be careful about that. So you have the name here, you have the description. Always read your description. Usually sometimes there might be a bad service in there that it's like evil one that will have no description. The status, is it is it started, is it not started, and the startup type. This is important. So there's disabled, which it will not start up. There's manual, which means that it'll wait for you to start it up. And then there's automatic, which when you run the system, it'll automatically just start it up. And then log on as local service, local system. Don't worry about that tab. So here we go. Disable unnecessary services. This is web server. Don't really need to memorize all these. It's good to have these on hand though. Net meeting, so anything that's like sharing. See remote desktop, remote registry, remote access, sharing again, service discovery, plug and play, which is a big one. Telnet, like I said, universal plug and play, Windows messaging service. Sometimes it will say do not disable these services. Like you might have to run a mail server off of it, so don't close these ports and don't disable these services. So if it says do not do something, you do not do it, or else you'll get points taken away most likely, and that's not good at all. Performance monitoring, you really don't need to do this one. You can just see stuff that runs. They're not really gonna run anything strenuous on there. There's nothing. They're not gonna like use your cores for DDoSing a website or anything, so don't worry about that. Windows Task Manager. This one is important. You can see what programs are running and also what processes are running. Applications, so it says Internet Explorer, Outlook, Windows Messenger, and then processes is kind of one level deeper, and then services is one level deeper than that. You can access it if you press Control, Shift, Escape. It'll pop up right now if you do that right now on your computer. or you can do Control Delete, and a little window will come up, and you just go down to Task Manager. I like Control Shift Escape better. It's just easier. Alright, Task Manager functions. Like I said, show the program services that are running, processes more than services. Show network activity, so you can go to networking and see here. Let me just pop it up for you. Alright, I have it at processes by default because I really don't care what my applications are. So it'll tell you over here, this is all Chrome. I have all these other ones. Services, performance, so this is my 8-core CPU, so it's just saying, you know, it's running. That's my RAM down there. And so right here, this is my, okay, so this one is my actual, I have a few. So this one is my actual one that I use, that's my actual. So see right there, something just accessing the internet. It was not even 0.1%. So you can see the actual percentage on the side there. So there's 0.8. Oh, there we go. Ooh, it popped up a little bit there. But usually that's where you can see it. Alright, and you can see usually really cheap malware. Not cheap malware, but malware. Is this still recording? Alright. For some reason, there's like a little box here and it like went away. So really bad malware, you can see like BFK, best free keylogger. That one will be running in your processes. Like I said, there we go, processes. Just look at the image name, and if it looks really weird, just Google it. And if it's like, you know, this is not a Windows process, you know, not safe, then then what you can do, you can right click it and open, like say, let's open Chrome. Open file location, then I'll open it up and do your little digging and research before you. It's always better to do research than it is to immediately delete something that you might need. Don't just go and start, oh, looks bad, delete it, because you might need it and you probably won't ever get it back. Performance tab, like I said, there's nothing really going to be strenuous running on your computer. Networking tab, again, they're not going to do that, just because not everyone is going to run a super good computer, and not everyone is going to have good bandwidth. And then users tab shows all the current users logged into the system. This one can be pretty helpful sometimes, but usually you don't really need it because you can already know. So this is a good one, sysinternals. These are some free tools from Microsoft. Good one is no, not netstat. I forget what it is, but there's a lot of good utilities that they come here. Oh, what is it called? I forget what it is. One of them is process monitor. You can see it's better than task manager. So you can see all the real-time system files, registry, processes, threads, and DLLs. So pretty much I will show you literally everything that's running on your computer, whether it wants to be shown or not, aka malware or not. I've used that before, and I have a lot of things running, so there's like a million things that pop up for me. Then user accounts, local users and groups. I've talked about this in another video. There's user accounts. They've recently, Cyber Patriots, been like, hey, you know, John is a good user, don't delete him. But, you know, Sally got fired the other day, so she shouldn't be on there. Usually there'll be about maybe 5 to 10 user accounts on your computer sometimes. So that's always an easy pointer to right there. And then administrative accounts can do more or less whatever the heck they want. I've definitely gone over users and group account permissions. I'm not going to do it again. These are self-explanatory. Full control is everything. Modifies, you can change it. Read and execute is you can run it. List folder contents. What it sounds. Read exactly what it sounds. You can't run it, but you can see it. And write exactly what it sounds. So, inherit permissions. Again, already went over this. Honestly, you really don't need to do this because this is not that big of a thing unless they hint on it in the instructions. Account permissions, best practices. I feel like this is really dragging out, so I'm going to try to wrap it up. Don't give full control to non-admins. Make sure everyone has a password. Disable guest, admin account, change the password, change the name. Don't use the account, but you have to use the account. It says don't use the account, but when you're doing the image, actually just use the account. Website will have default passwords published, so don't use like password 123. Do something good. Local accounts, encrypted passwords are stored on the computer itself. It's under Windows System 32 SAM. That's a file. It won't let you open it or change it while Windows is running, so don't really worry about that. Domain account. Again, don't really worry about that too much. That just means that it's for the server and stuff. Honestly, it's not that important right now. Tools, MBSA, Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer. This is a good one if you're stuck on stuff, or if you've already. Don't do this right away. Do your little checklist, because we have a checklist, but do a checklist of all the common things, and then if you need, then after that, then just run that and see what you need to change. That's for later game, not immediately, because there's so much you can do immediately. So there's a link, or you could just Google it, not hard. Windows Update, already talked about that. First step is security machine. Install the operating system, do updates, update installed applications, spyware, antivirus, anti-spyware stuff, scan for malware, configure all your stuff, take ownerships of files that have become inaccessible. You kind of don't need to do that. You don't necessarily need that. Do the logs and then back up the system. I've never seen that one before. It says when it is clean and secure, back up the system and create a restoration point. You can do that if you want. There's really no need unless you mess up and like lock yourself out of the computer. Now, even if you do that, you can't even back it up. Unless you really mess up, then you don't need that. Disable unnecessary services. We have our own checklist, so don't worry about that. And then list of references. Alright, that was an extremely long one, and I'm super sorry, but this is stuff that you do need to know and that needs to get out of the way. So go read this over again. Definitely, if you have any questions, ask me. Ask me on Facebook. If you don't have me on Facebook, like if you're from not from Scripps Ranch High School, then just leave me alone. I won't help you. I'm sorry. I'm only help out my own team. So if you have me on Facebook and if you actually know who I am, then go ahead. But I guess if you want to, you can message the YouTube account. I don't check it very often, maybe like once a month at the very most. So I don't expect a fast response. So I hope this helped. This was extremely long, and I'm god awful sorry if I bored you at all. Because I know this was boring for me to go through. But it's definitely something necessary. So thank you, and watch the next video.